Untitled Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Our apologies to all our loyal fans out there of the real Kyper and Bourne show. Yesterday, for those of you that don't know, we were preempted for the announcement of a new collective bargaining agreement between the baseball players and their owners, and we got the Jays back, which makes Sammy very happy. But I promise you all, even if we hear news today that Babe Ruth has risen from the ground and the Jays have just announced that they've signed him to a 3-year deal, we ain't leaving.
They signed Freddie Freeman today. They're like Bourne, Kyper,
Nuh-uh. We're sticking.
You think we can handle a Western player?
No, they're just going to have to wait.
I think people would pay to watch you and I fight.
Yeah, they got a few more. They got a few more LBs on us, I think, on that. So we're here. We're back on YouTube. It's Friday. All bets are off Friday. We've got a great show. We're going to take some questions, I guess, Sammy. Let's welcome Sammy McKee on board here, our trusted producer. What's the plans here? We're going to take some YouTube questions throughout the day.
Yep, we're going to do that in the back half of the show after we talk to Andrew Peters about Eichel and about the Leafs playing the Sabres outdoors on Sunday. So yeah, get your YouTube comments in. Yeah, I gotta be honest, boys. I'm in an awful mood today.
Well,
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
I thought the Blue Jays coming back would have taken care of that for today.
No, it didn't. Listen, I don't know what it is about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but every crappy team from the Western Conference that comes in here and plays against the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's their goddamn Super Bowl. Everybody's got their aunts, Bonnie in the crowd. They got to play the Leafs. Oh, it's the biggest night of the year. We're playing the Leafs. And they come down here and they beat the Leafs. Can't get a save.
Oh, my God.
Boys, I am sour.
I'm just going to sit back and listen to Sammy for the next hour. and a
Sour,
half.
sorry. Anyways, go ahead.
Do you really believe that people try harder?
Yes.
Than their favorite team?
I believe if my favorite team was the Carolina Hurricanes, no, I wouldn't believe that. But they're the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's everybody's biggest game not for teams that play the Leafs all the time. Western Conference teams come here once.
I'm sorry.
There is something to it.
It's been well documented for countless years. This has been going on for decades here. This is not new. Sorry, Sammy. This is not new information you're dropping on us. It's a given. Toronto, the Greater Toronto area, has produced more NHL players than anywhere in the world. So, I mean, live with it. They love coming home. They love getting the spotlight. A guy like Jacob Chikrin, we don't know whether or not he's going to get traded or not, but what's better than coming into this market, scoring 2 goals, and letting 31 other teams know, hey, I'm pretty good.
If you're the Coyotes watching Chikrin get 2 last night,
Can you hear him?
the stock price going through.
Chikrin's
this-
calling it the mecca of hockey yesterday. Oh, I just can't wait to play here. Everybody just comes. Oh, yeah. Everybody come here and beat up on the Leafs. That's our favorite activity. Anyways, they shouldn't lose to the Arizona Coyotes, regardless of anything. You know, they let in 4 bad goals. They still should win that game.
But come on, Sammy, build slowly here and find some bright sides. They didn't blow a lead.
You know, what's better? Build a lead and blow it, or give up a lead and come back? What's the better move here?
Where do we want to start? We just want to start on the overall feel of the game. You want to go into specifics? You mentioned Mrazek, the goaltending. We can get into that. Do you want to jump to a non-call on Austin Matthews? I open it up on this Friday to the two of you.
Mrazek. Got to start with Mrazek. That's all anyone's talking about. What a nightmare. Get rid of this guy, yada, yada. What were your thoughts on how it went, how the coach handled it, how Mrazek handled it, and what comes next?
Well, you know, I love the post-game comments, either through Sheldon or even listening to Mrazek. you want to just start right off the bat and saying that this was a bad signing. Okay, do you want to start there? It's a bad signing. A goalie that, right from the get-go, I said, when he's on, he can be very good, but when he's off, he's horrible. And he hasn't hit his on button at all this year. Gets out of the gate with a bad injury and has never caught up yet.
Yeah, I wonder what was involved in making this signing for him. Like, was it like a bunch of analytics led him to this guy? Or what was it that made them think that he was the cream of the crop? I am curious how they reached the conclusion, but I will say, Kyper, I have been, and you have been on the show basically saying there's no solution here. Like, these are your guys. No one that you bring in is definitely going to be better. But I'm telling you, watching last night, I had it changed my brain where I was like, they can't do this anymore. Like, I don't care if you got to send him to the minors to save $1.1 million and spend that cap space on another goalie, or do you not have to do something now? That was an abomination of a showing.
If this was next Friday and the trade deadline's Monday, I may have to somewhat understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily believe that it's the answer to go out there and just get somebody else for the sake of getting somebody else.
I know it's not the right answer, but I want it. No, but truly, I do believe that. I don't think that anyone you bring in right now, whether it's, Wedgwood or Vejmelka from Arizona or whatever, are they going to be worse than Mrazek?
Honestly, last night watched a lot of bad Leafs hockey and a lot of bad Leafs goaltending over the years through, my formidable years. That was as bad as I think I've ever seen. Those first two, the one that, he blockers into the slot, and then the one where honestly looked like a learn to play moment for hockey, where he's scrambling across the net, trickles over the line. Those are two of the worst.
Let's go to Sheldon Keefe first on Mrazek. Let's start there.
How disappointing with Sheldon is it hours after saying here's a great chance for Mrazek that he comes out and plays like he did.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know what to say. It's tough.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what else to say. It's funny. I love the reading into Sheldon Keefe's comments post-game, but I now get the sense that to his point last night, or to the words that we just, he is lost for words right now. And he's also nervous.
Afraid of his words.
He's nervous about saying something that isn't just a gut reaction or just a feel. He is now, and I know where it's coming from. I think he got burned real bad with we're soft and purposeless. A month ago, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, guys like us pick through his audio every day. It's impossible.
Since then, he picks his words very carefully, and I think that's a prime example where he is lost for words, so he's better off just saying nothing.
If you can't say something nice, say it's tough. That's what my mom always said. So hold on. Do you want to go? I have stuff to say about Keefe's performance yesterday in general. Do you want to?
No, I don't. I want to stay on Mrazek because one of the reasons why I said right from the get-go, when this guy's on, he's on, and when he's off, is because he is so aggressive. When he commits to something, he is all in.
It's Billy Smith. He's at the bottom of the circles.
And I think when you hear him describe what went on last night, that's what you understand with him, is that he's all in on his saves. And I think that blocker is a perfect example. Let's have a listen to Peter Mrazek describing those early goals.
No, I don't think I was too aggressive on that one. I just hit inside of the blocker instead of the outside, and my momentum was going on the blocker side, and it went on my glove side. So can happen. I think it's those saves are easy saves, and how many times that's gonna hit your inside blocker and go on the far side. So not the night I wanted.
My momentum. Can you make the save without any momentum?
He pushed so far into it that it hit the inside of the blocker. And he's like, how many times are going to hit the inside of the blocker? Well, every time if you push that far out at it.
Could you catch it?
Just maybe stay in your crease while you try to blocker it into the corner?
He can't. He's got no center of gravity. It's either left or right.
Yeah. Yeah, he's busy. He's busy, and that cost him bad. And then the next one was one of those exaggerated humiliation moments for a team and a goaltender, the way that one played out. So, I mean, Mrazek didn't seem overly affected by it.
That's a bit of an understatement, I think.
You heard him there. He's like, I don't think I was too aggressive, but how many times is that going to happen? Do we also have the other quote from Mrazek?
We do.
Okay, so here's Mrazek. You keep in mind how Jack Campbell responds to letting in a bad goal, and listen how Mrazek on his own night.
I think my mentality is pretty good with those things. So just forget about that. What happened. It's a past, and let's look forward. And I'm excited for other games coming up.
Forget about it.
What's the problem?
I know you want him to say those things.
What's the problem?
Forget about it. Like you said it last night. Can you have two bigger extremes?
I know. Could we find someone between launching themselves off a bridge and, let's go out and have a couple of pints after a bad game? It's probably has nothing to do with the mindset, and it's probably good that he has a short memory. But
not that short. Not that short.
Even when you win, coaches say, enjoy the win tonight, boys. Tomorrow, it's a new day. Same new losses. Think about it. Go home. Get your sleep. We'll deal with it tomorrow. They don't say, forget about it the second it happens and pretend it didn't happen. But
they are completely at opposite scopes.
And let me say, I like them both. I think Peter Mrazek would be a fun guy to have some beers with. Same with Jack Campbell.
Okay, how about Jack and Peter get together and then just meet in the middle?
Yeah.
For both of them.
That would be very
care
healthy.
a little bit more and care a little bit less, and we know which one needs to go which direction.
Right.
But right now, they are like the odd couple. They're like Oscar and Felix. Remember that?
No, I don't.
No.
Nobody?
No.
Bueller?
Oh, you guys are horrible. Horrible.
Sorry, Kyper. I should have lied to help you out.
Look, Google the odd couple, and you will see a different version of Jack and Peter Mrazek.
So we do have more clips on this goaltending. Let's just stay with goaltending. Sheldon Keefe, Sammy, which one do you want to hear? The concern over goalies or the team's mindset with the bad goalie? You decide.
I think the team's mindset
All
with
right.
the bad goalie, because this is one that it can happen in any level of any hockey ever, and I think it's a fascinating conversation. So let's get that one.
It's hard. It's hard mentally. You guys. Takes. I mean, really, it's 2 minutes into the game. The first one there. That's a tough one. I mean, it's maybe as tough a goal we've given up maybe all season. Let's just start the game. So it's tough. Takes wind out of the sails for sure. There's no doubt about it. But all our guys are pros. They got to find ways to gather themselves and keep playing. And credit to them, for the effort they put forth in the third period. Didn't lay down, kept pushing. Had plenty of opportunities to win the hockey game in regulation, and didn't get a huge point. Eric gives us a great chance to counter and get a good luck to get the second point. It doesn't go our way, they get one the other way. So that's the way those overtimes go. I love the fight in our team. Love the performance by Eric Shalgren here today. Great job by him. We're just gonna have to push by this one.
Just write this down. His name's Eric. Okay.
Shalgren.
What did we call him yesterday? I call him
Colgren?
Colgren.
That's the funniest thing about anyone having an opinion on him is what they should do. People are like, they should start this guy. And it's like, say his name, and then you get to have an opinion.
So post-game, we're watching on Sportsnet, of course, and Elliot and Stewie started with who's gonna play next.
I know.
And I think Elliot went with Shalgren.
Correct.
And and Stewie went, you have to go back to Mrazek. We know now that they've named Mrazek.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, here's a guy that his head's spinning. And Elliot really wanted to throw him into an outdoor game. Are you kidding me?
I think the point of people in that camp are, you know this is bad and this is the mystery box. Would you rather have the mystery box or bad? Is I think how they're looking at it. I'm not, for the record. I've been like, it's clearly Mrazek, and it has to be.
I think maybe the biggest detriment on what Peter Mrazek has been to the Toronto Maple Leafs so far this year is that there was a legitimate conversation if they should start Eric Källgren.
No. There's
no bigger detriment.
There's no legitimate conversation there. I agree. There's not. Asinine. It's stupid. Even if that guy miraculously goes in there and pitches a shutout,
what's the point?
It's still. It may be a great outcome, but it's still a bad decision.
You're trying to win the Stanley Cup. And ideally, you're going to need goaltending. Ideally, Peter Mrazek, a career .909 save percentage guy, gets his you-know-what together. And the best case to do that is saying, okay, we signed you for 3 years at $3.9 million per season. Our starter, or Jack Campbell, our 1A is out. You know, you lose a couple, you're going to keep going back. That's the great opportunity right now when you've earned it with that contract. They have the chance for him to find it again in a big moment in front of a lot of people. And if he can't find it the next few starts, maybe then they'll think of something. But there's nothing gained by giving a guy who's been an .885 in the AHL the past 10 games and Källgren to start.
Did you guys feel like I was feeling last night? It reminded me of a particularly bad Michael Hutchison start where later that night the Leafs made the big trade for Jack Campbell. I had that kind of feeling last night before I was going to bed. Like, is there going to be an anger late night trade here?
The difference here is there was a build-up to your attitude towards Frederik Andersen. It wasn't like Freddie's play dropped off in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It was Freddie's a good regular season goalie. He's had cracks of trying to carry us in the playoffs. He's not been able to do it. We're changing directions. We're making this trade because we think that we can groom Jack Campbell to one day take his job. Yep. And that's exactly what happened. But that was over a long course here. For now, Sammy or anyone else to have a feeling that Kyle's going to go get a goalie now because in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Jack's fallen off is just not realistic for me.
Jack is a part of this team one way or another. Jack is going nowhere.
Listen, how long ago was the 4-1 victory against Pittsburgh here in Toronto?
It was a Saturday night, maybe 2.5 weeks ago.
Okay.
3.
Where we ended up going, it's like Jack's back on course. Jack's putting himself in a position to ask for anywhere between $5 and $6 million. It's legit. He's there.
We burned that episode, right?
There's no need to burn it. It's out there.
Yeah.
And it can come back if Jack finds himself in another 2.5, 3 weeks and is able to get out of the first or second round. It's back.
You're not wrong.
Okay. And but for now, for Kyle to bail now and go get Marc-Andre Fleury or anyone else, or even bail on Mrazek. Like,
I think they can bail on Mrazek.
Mrazek wasn't their first choice. Let's remember here, they had a salary cap crunch.
Yeah. They were trying to find someone who could play 35 times as cheap as possible.
This was the best of a bad situation where they just felt like he's an NHL goalie.
He's
got
proven
NHL
guy
experience.
we trust we can put in the net.
Is he a little unorthodox? Yes.
But he stops it.
Is he a little fish out of water sometimes? Yes. But
so is Hasek.
He's still NHL caliber.
Yeah, at the end of the day, look at the numbers and he stops it a lot.
Just haven't seen it.
Let's hear Sheldon Keefe, his take on concern over goalies to continue this conversation.
Today was a great opportunity for Peter really to get going. So it's disappointing that he's a pro. He's been around a long time. He's played a lot of games. He's played a lot of good goal. So we have confidence in him as an organization, and we need him to find himself. How concerned am I? I mean, obviously, my concern continues to be the team that plays in front of the goalie, and then how we can set the goalie, no matter who's in net, up for success. Peter's through his career has been a better goaltender than he has been here for us. So we have to own part of that, and we got to help him be the goalie that he has been through his career.
Betting on the large sample size, Peter has been a better goaltender over his greater career than he has been with us. That's what they believe. And they're right. And I think they're justified in leaning on that for a while. I have switched to where, like, it's gone on too long now. If he plays well for a few games here, they got a tough decision.
If think about this for a second, okay? You're almost a week out of the trade deadline, and you want to go get a goalie, which means you have to unload Mrazek's contract.
Yes, it's going to cost you an asset.
There's just no way of anything coming in of significance without getting this thing out.
It's going to open up.
Be
more
a general
money.
manager right now and take Kyle's call. When you watched Mrazek play last night and you go, yeah, I'll take that contract, but I want a first or a second rounder for it.
You're saying, look, Bill, you're going to put him in ASU's 5,000-seat arena. You don't actually care. You're not getting a first for a guy who can play NHL goal.
Then keep him. Then just keep him, Kyle.
No, Bill's desperate too.
Bill's phone.
Bill ain't
Dubas is
taking
just
that
like,
thing.
you up, Bill?
Bill is not taking that contract, and neither is any other team for 2 more years at $4 million
Without something
coming back of significance.
Okay. I agree. So now we're doing that. So that
Just throw anything you want out.
I think, are we not
What
there,
about the
Kipper?
first rounder that you need to give up?
Not the first, because you're going to spend that on a D-man.
Oh, my
so,
God.
but once you listen,
You
Kipper,
got no assets left.
well, you have assets once you move Mrazek for whatever this valuable chip is, which is cap space. Now you can go get a real player. Like, I got to be honest. I have an article on Sportsnet.ca today about the Leafs D. It's got to be Josh Manson or Scott Mayfield coming to the Leafs. And I know that's going to cost a lot of money, but it has to be one of those two guys, unless there's a guy around the league I'm missing, that defense is a priority. So
You're in such a weakness right now, and that could be a first-round pick.
Yep.
Josh Manson, you can't afford to re-sign him. What's Josh going to get next year? 5?
Probably.
6? Like, Ristolainen re-signed in Philly. Have you watched that guy lately?
Yeah, not awesome.
Not awesome. So you are now in strictly a rental situation.
I know.
You cannot trade.
What are you
for
protecting? What are you
for a-
protecting for, Kipper? What are we gonna? You don't want to go for the cup this year for what? You're gonna have the same team next year with a first.
I'll tell you what you're
who
doing.
Develops in 3 more years.
I'll tell you what you're doing. If you're Kyle Dubas, you're protecting somewhat of your reputation to be a future general manager in this league. You want to look desperate and throw potential pieces for the next 5 or 10 years. And then not only does it not work out for your current situation, but it hurts the team long term. Who would ever hire this guy ever again?
Well, the idea is to win a Stanley Cup with it.
Yeah, the idea is to
Or to
have
at
a
least
long
win some
career for
rounds.
Kyle Dubas as well.
I think his best chance at securing that is having success in Toronto, winning at least a couple of rounds here this season. I just don't think the half measures idea of going at it this season is going to be effective for them. I know it's a big ask, and I know it's going to cost assets. I know the team.
There is nothing moving right now because of the prices being too expensive.
Yeah. And Sherrod can't get a first.
No one's paying Montreal a first right now, and Montreal's waiting for it. And I think the dominoes would probably play out after that. But Montreal's sitting there going, they want the Savard deal.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying to teams. We want the David Savard to Tampa.
Tell them to get a time machine back when that was relevant. There's 16 sellers around the league right now, which hurts Montreal's case, right?
Yeah.
16 teams are out of playoffs, or at least 15. Lots more happened last night. Should we stay with the game before trade deadline?
Absolutely.
Okay. So there was the challenge for offside, the OT winner issue. Which stuck out to you?
Let's go to what everyone else is talking about and the finish.
Yeah. So Austin
And
Matthews on the
again,
back check.
Anthony Stewart and our good friend Elliot Friedman after the game. I think Stewie said that he was okay with the non-call.
He said the Matthews got to fight through it. Yep. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on Anthony Stewart last night was he was wrong and he was right.
Okay. That's great. I like this. Both sides it.
And I'll tell you what he was wrong on, that it was a legit penalty.
It was a penalty.
Yes, 100%. Jacob Chikrin leveraged enough on Austin Matthews where he got the jump off of the play.
Yep.
Where Anthony was 100% correct was he needs to fight through it.
Mm-hmm.
All that was another non-call that didn't go your way. Well, guess what? Get in line. Been around for 100 years. You're not the first guy to get a non-call.
Yeah.
When Austin Matthews now stops on the back check, and I can't recall if he had a mouth guard or not, but if he did, he took it out, and he starts arguing the play as it's still developing, then I got a beef with Austin Matthews.
Fine.
You quit on the play to start arguing when the game is still on the line.
Sammy doesn't like it.
Well,
Well,
he was brought to a complete stop, and the play was already up towards the blue line. He could have put on his rocket ship skates and caught up to the play if that's his only chance. He was out. He was completely taken out of the play by Jacob Chychrun holding him. He stopped his momentum. He was going at full speed. Chychrun leveraged the speed off of Matthews.
That's not reason enough.
But
here's
Whether
my
or not
issue.
you're in the player, do
Hold on.
not stop. You just gotta fight through it, as Anthony said.
Here's my issue with this, and this absolutely sucks, but you have to go down or the refs won't call it, and I hate that. I'm not saying Matthews should have gone down. That is not my point. My point is this is a major issue with officiating in the NHL. Connor McDavid is first in the NHL in penalties drawn. We said in the show the other day,
Squeaky wheel.
37 penalties drawn or something like that. Matthews is 408th.
Got
last I
6
checked.
drawn all year.
6, so maybe he's up to 374th or something.
Yeah.
Honestly. So the point is, he doesn't go down. Matthews never goes down. Great edges, big, strong horse of a man. That was a great example where if he's Ronaldo, he gets a penalty there.
No, he doesn't need to go down. The officials missed the call.
That's the point.
He
The
just
officials
missed the
shouldn't
call.
need him to go down to make
He was
it.
staring at it.
Okay.
That's the most frustrating part. When
He
they
did.
when they did the zoom
Same
out.
with Ovion Hyman.
He
staring
had
at
a
it.
legitimate beef. I just wish you just got to have the habit of playing through it.
I agree.
That's
there.
all.
I
mean,
agree.
it's a small thing,
you know what, though?
but he was 100% right that it was just a horseshit call or non-call.
You've always taken the player's angle and view
Yeah.
of things, and as a player, the only thing you can control is playing, and it's overtime.
Okay.
So yeah, for Matthews, he should play.
And
He should skate.
Just
keep
one
going.
more note, and again, I don't like piling on the officials, but everybody's under the impression the Leafs got robbed last night. I don't know if you guys noticed this about halfway through the third period, but Arizona absolutely got robbed on a call. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Justin Hall buried Christian Fishers in
Buried.
front of the net.
Buried. Okay? That thing was all day long as blatant as a miss as Ovi's hook in Edmonton on Wednesday night. That was 4-2. They go on the power play, maybe 5-2, but you burn a lot of the momentum off. So at the end of the day, it's an even up.
The issue right now is that referees are afraid of being seen as having decided the game, right? They don't want to make the call. The power play goal goes in, and people say the refs changed the game. But in effect, they dictate the outcome of the game by not making the call. So
Did you see Fisher leave the ice?
I did not.
Yeah, he was not having a good
He was
time.
keeled over.
Yeah.
He dropped both his gloves.
And, I don't think I was waiting for a replay. It never came. Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson actually mentioned the cross-check Hall made on him, but it didn't get any attention. It didn't get a replay, and it just kind of got lost on it. But that guy was in some serious pain to the point where I think he went to go get x-rays. He might probably broken ribs. He's not playing against, I'm told he's not playing against Boston. I mean,
but it wasn't Austin Matthews in overtime, right? So the attention's not there.
Exactly.
Right.
But this is where the game's always found a way to kind of even out. They're not perfect. They miss calls. But some of this stuff.
You know who didn't deserve 2 points last night was the Leafs. So
it's not changing anytime soon with these officials. It will always be, we got robbed. Arizona got robbed earlier, and you just hope it kind of balances out at the end.
Yeah, but the optics of the best player in the league getting pulled back in the most important moment of the game when the guy who
Like
commits
LeBron driving the hoop gets the call.
when the guy commits the penalty, skates
Yeah,
down
I know,
ahead
but
of him,
that's-
goes and shoots it in the
That's
net to win the game.
That's you, Super
No, it's
Leaf
not.
fan. No.
That's everyone watching. That's a disgrace, man.
Yeah,
That's,
so is missing a cross check on Hall.
No, it's not. That's
Yeah,
the
it
third
is.
period. That's not even whatever.
It is.
We disagree.
Let's listen. No, we do not agree.
We do
Let's
not
go
agree.
ahead and listen to what. Do you want Matthews first or Keefe first? Let's have Austin.
I like Austin's.
Let's have Austin.
Let's go
first.
Austin.
I felt what I felt. I mean, there's really nothing I can change now. So, I mean, I'm not, no sense in really talking about it. I guess no comment.
If you
Okay.
can't say
Do
something,
we
then-
have Sheldon Keefe talking about the call too?
Yes.
Let me hear that.
You guys watch the game, so I'll allow you guys to make your own assessments of that. You know, our guys, it's on us and our players to find ways through that.
Okay. This is now Sheldon and Austin absolutely 100% taking the high road on it when they could have just jammed it down their throats and they could have kicked and screamed and just given it to the officials. I like the fact that they didn't.
Okay, well, that was the one time in the game that I'll say that I thought Keefe had an awesome day yesterday. So, I just thought that press conference in general. So, a number of things yesterday, which one of them I want to get into is the lines last night. We didn't get to have a show yesterday, so we didn't get to talk about the lines.
I just want to
Yep.
I just want to flesh out those comments by those two guys.
Okay.
I think before we move on,
Yep.
that's the type of stuff that helps you down the road.
With officials?
100%.
Interesting.
Okay. And that's where behind the scenes now, you just, you talk to the officiating department, Coley Campbell's department, and you just remind them that we didn't bury you. We chose not to.
Right.
Austin went the mature route. Sheldon went the mature route. And I think those guys, and we had Tim Peel on, they're human. They can
No
hold
doubt about
grudges.
that.
They can hold grudges. That's the stuff that could get you a call down the road.
The Toronto Maple Leafs in the past, I agree, in the past 5 years are in the bottom 5, maybe bottom 7 in the league every single year in penalties drawn. They do not get a ton of calls going for them. And I don't know if it's the personnel or the perception that it's the Leafs, and I don't know what it is, but it doesn't happen for them. So anything that can work in their favor, that would be good.
Okay.
So that if them taking the high road, maybe get Austin up to 7 penalties drawn by the end of the year.
How is he at 6? He has the puck the whole hockey game.
Yeah. Well, he wears blue and white. Go ahead.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. So we didn't get to talk yesterday about the Leafs lines. They threw together a couple lines that I thought were an abomination. Awful lines. I don't know what was going on. We do sometimes say they got to try different things throughout the season, but Tavares, Robertson, Kasha, do I have that right, Sammy?
Tavares, Robertson, Kasha.
What an awful line.
And
I mean, the way
Kerfoot.
Tavares is playing and Robertson, an AHL guy looking for a
And then they had
spark.
They had Kerfoot, Nylander,
Kerfoot,
and
Nylander, and
Simmons.
Simmons
Yes.
has been. What do you think lately?
Simmons needs a rest.
Great. That says what we're both
He needs
thinking.
a night off. No different than Spezza.
Willie's been not good
Listen,
for me. I know he scored.
it's hard now for Sheldon to find Tavares and Nylander 17 minutes a night.
Because of the way they're playing? or just-
Absolutely. 17. Tavares is making $11 million. He's one of the highest paid players in the league.
Yeah.
And you can't find a way to get him, 18, 19 minutes.
So I don't know. Just there's some guys in a tough spot right now, and I really dislike those lines. So thought those were bad.
And I don't know. I'm reading today that Robertson's doing great and he's ready to break out. And I'm like, you guys know how I felt about this whole time. It's like, he's not ready. He's just not right. You want to talk about a guy that can maybe skate and keep up with the play and find areas where he can shoot the puck? That's great. You want to tell me that this guy can battle for loose pucks, get in on a forecheck, create
be effective
space?
when he's not creating. That's the trick, because you're not always going to be
can't.
scoring. So
Too small, too light. It's not helping Tavares and Nylander.
no,
It's kind of the opposite of what they need, actually.
it is the opposite. of
The
what they need.
opposite.
Yeah.
They don't need another small guy, a light guy.
And I want to clarify that this isn't like that Nick Robertson's not going to become a guy who can be effective when he isn't scoring and become a guy who can score 30 goals in the league. He could become that, but today he's not that. And so it's not helping those guys out or him out.
Today you're trying to win a Stanley Cup.
Right.
Not make the playoffs.
Right. So that was weird to me. Then there was an awful challenge. The worst challenge of the season. Phil Kessel clearly has possession of a puck. And then the comments after the game, I didn't care for a number of things that Keefe said last night. Do we start by him weighing in on the challenge, which we can launch off that?
Perfect.
Let's do that.
I obviously challenged that second goal, partly because I thought maybe there has been some of these offsides that have come back when the puck is a little bit off the stick. But also partly I thought there's a chance maybe it comes back and gives us an opportunity, or I thought if we have to kill a penalty, maybe that gets us life, gets us going, and gets our guys rolling a little bit and gets their attention.
Okay. My first thought, my first thought on a question is, does Sheldon know the rules? No, I'm serious.
What do you mean?
Does he know the rule on backing in
about
over
having
blue
possession?
line?
Well, he said something about the puck being separated from the stick. Sometimes
That's not the rule.
I know it's not.
That's what I'm questioning.
I think he knows that too.
So why would you challenge that if you know the rule? And
Just
there's
on a
two
prayer.
simple things. Okay? Possession and control. Those are the two words that you need to know off that play. And it was crystal clear that Phil Kessel had both.
First touch, he controlled it.
100 out of 100, you will never get that call. So why make it?
And yeah, the comment about thought maybe a PK could get their attention and get them going. I'm not even sure what that means. It's like we intentionally put ourselves at a disadvantage.
I don't know.
So didn't like that.
But like, you're I get it. You're down 2-0. I don't know if the game is 4 minutes old. You've got two of the best offensive players in the world. It's 2-0 against that team. Do you need that? Do you need that challenge to wake them up 4 minutes into the game?
I went to my gambling site of choice to look what the odds were that the Leafs won the game or would win the game down 2 goals, because that's a good opportunity. They were still heavy betting favorites to win the game down 2-0. Like, objectively, the books saw the Leafs as more likely to win than lose when they were down 2-0 at that point. It wasn't dire that you needed to do something desperate.
You can get your point across without challenging that. It's just it's only
call timeout.
It's
smack Mrazek.
It's 4 minutes in. You got cruddy goaltending. Just tell the boys, let's go. Okay, we got a couple bad bounces off of Mrazek. Let's overcome them.
We're going to bring in Peter.
Go.
He's going to publicly apologize to the group.
There was another.
It's just the whole thing was weird. He would have been better off saying it was a bad call.
Yeah.
Just say it was a bad call on my part. Mrazek made a bad play on that goal. It's a bad challenge. It's just a bad challenge.
Bad challenge.
And there's another clip where, because we played pretty much all of Keefe's press conference today, but he also said that he considered doing the goalie switch after the second.
Do we have that as well?
No, I don't have that.
Okay, yeah.
No. He just had mentioned it in passing.
Yeah, he was like, after 2 goals, I wanted to, but I didn't want to put Shalgren in a bad position. I got to say, if I hear one more thing about a goaltender who's on the bench waiting to play being in a bad position, I'm going to lose my mind.
He's got his gear on.
Like,
all he needs to do is put his helmet on. He's good to go.
Has he ever been in an NHL game before? Do you think he was unprepared? Like, he probably spent the whole day stretching.
I think it goes back to the Zamboni driver. I really do.
They're just scarred.
Scarred. Everybody feels like a Zamboni driver since then.
Honestly, it broke their brains or something. But so, not a great night from him in the big picture. A lot of guys that we went through the lineup when we were talking about individual players that.
Can we talk about someone good?
Yes.
Third line again, boys.
But they're a problem because you can't change them.
They're good again.
That's why the lines that I mentioned are so bad. It's because you can't mess up the third line, which is perfect.
They were really good.
So
again.
good.
They just control the play. Engvall looks like a new man.
I mean, that
McCabe's going to cash in, boys, too.
For sure. Have fun in Columbus.
He is going to cash in.
Yeah.
Like 3 times 3 or something.
Oh, yeah, 3.5.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
I'd pay him that.
Yeah.
He's worth it.
At least you're avoiding the Bunting. What would Bunting get next year? Conversation.
And another awesome night for Matthews to score that goal and to know it went in.
Yes.
I thought actually Arizona, for the most part, did a pretty good job on
Handling those guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't get nearly the good looks as games prior to that. But yeah, I thought Arizona did a pretty good job.
And the tying goal was pretty fluky for it to land on Nylander's stick kind of in the slot and have him go in and score. But they could have had 3 or 4 goals before the end of the third period, at least. Like Wedgwood played pretty well. He made a couple good saves on Engvall at the end there. Like I thought he played pretty well. So
Earlier in the week, I think there was a clip out there that Sportsnet put out there that you just said that Nylander is what is what he is.
We got
Like,
radioed by our own team.
We did. Well, there was more to the point than that, though, Kyper.
But you're not that far off.
My point was that there's not going to be an evolution to the player that he is. And it wasn't meant to be like, this guy stinks. It was like, he is what he is.
That's
I know, but I feel like I need to defend myself.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
All I got out of you is he's at that age now. He's been around as long as he has. This is what he is.
Which is very good. Which
I don't think it's that very good.
Well,
I don't get very good.
Maybe I'm hedging. Good? It's good.
I don't get.
It's good.
No, it's not good.
Yes, it's good.
No.
He's good.
It's good.
Oh, boys.
It's inconsistent, but it's good.
Inconsistent means one bad week, you're out in the first round. Okay?
He had a great week last year.
I was going to say, we picked a good week last year, but
okay.
But why? Okay, quickly on Nylander before we go. Why does it take him getting the whack going down to the fourth line to have his best period in 3 weeks? Why do we have to do this dance?
I don't know, and I think Sheldon Keefe is pulling his hair out.
Why do we have to do this dance?
To give him the...
You got to light a fire under these guys. And he is one of them.
$6 million isn't good enough.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Not. He can sleep with the best of them, and then you got to nudge him a little bit. Maybe they waited too long.
Need nudge guy for sure.
Skilled up the yin yang, but
so fun to watch when he's on.
Just you need more though.
Need more.
Second line
more consistency.
is in dire need of more out of Nylander.
I think we can call it the third line, the second line from now on. Let's just flip them.
Love it.
Any more contests or anything? Or are we good?
Oh, actually, Kyper, there is.
You're snoozing.
I'm not snoozing. I'm just fired up. We got lots of time. I'll do it right now.
Takes.
So we do have an amazing contest, and I legitimately mean this is an incredible contest. Two tickets to see the Leafs play the Habs in Montreal on Saturday, March 26th, plus a round-trip train ticket from Toronto to Montreal, and one-night hotel accommodation. So what you have to do is listen to Real Kyper and Bourne for a daily passport and enter it online on our contest page at Sportsnet 590, sportsnet.ca/590. And today's password is Bunting. This contest runs through Monday, March 21st. Must be 19 plus in Ontario to enter. So there we go, fellas.
All right. All just before the break. When we come back, Doug McLean, former NHL president and general manager, we'll talk to you about taking a call from Kyle Dubas and how GMs would feel now.
You realize we could do a 3-hour show today with all we have left.
We
to
could.
to.
Andrew Peters also in the second hour. We'll talk about Jack Eichel and the comments, the post-game comments. We love post-game comments on this show.
It's the best. The human element is the best part.
Jack gave us a ton to talk to Andrew Peters about. And we're all good. We're also going to take your questions on the YouTube chat. If you're watching, thanks for joining us again. Hit the like button. We love the like button.
That's how Sammy
75.
gets paid.
We want to double that, don't we, Sammy? And wherever you're listening or picking up your podcast, give us a rating and review. We want to hear from you as well. Okay, Mac, when we come back, Real Kyper and Bourne.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Hope everybody's enjoying the Real Kyper and Bourne show on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and wherever you download our podcast.
We appreciate that, by the way.
We do. People in the chat line want to know, JB, when you got out of the shower, did you forget to take your robe off?
I'll have you know, this is a very fine garment here, and it's 67 degrees in this room here. It's chilly.
And people call me the dinosaur.
I will say, if I had my druthers, if I were a rich man, I would dress like an old, I would have one of those proper, like, British flat caps and a pipe. All leather, everything. My notebook. I like the old stuff.
You just described our next guest.
Doug McLean. Perfect.
Yes, Doug McLean. Pipe, slippers, and pickleball.
I just finished a Romeo and Juliet poolside.
I thought there's
pipe
no
for me.
smoking. No smoking in Del Vista. What do they call it on Seinfeld?
No,
Boca del Vista?
Boca del Vista. No, I have the Romeo and Juliet. The 7x54 is a perfect size.
Nice. And how are you? Well recovered off your wonderful speech for Rick Nash?
It was a tremendous weekend. They did an unbelievable job. But I'll tell you what, Rick Nash, and I know everybody likes to rip on my, he did a fabulous job. His speech was unbelievable. And Hitchcock gave a speech too, but his was like for a job interview, his speech.
He still wants to work, doesn't he?
All about the great job he did developing Rick Nash into a player. And then Hitch sat down next to me and I said, didn't he win the Rocket Richard before you arrived in Columbus? Anyway,
I don't know. We see so many struggling teams that maybe he's not far off wanting another job.
I tell you what, it was a fabulous weekend. Though Columbus, the Blue Jackets did a great job, and Rick did just an amazing job. 19,400 people sitting in their seats at 5:00 for a 90-minute presentation. It was unbelievable. It really was. Good on them. Congratulations.
Were you able to get us any Columbus scoops on who they're trading, if they're signing Patrick Laine? Like, does that stuff happen in Columbus, or is it only people in like Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal pulling their hair out trying to figure it all out?
No, I think obviously Domi's the guy that they would like to move. There's no doubt about that. And does that happen? I mean, he's played better the last couple of games, but they desperately want to sign Laine, and I think they're confident they're going to be able to get a deal done with him. I really do.
Doug, looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs situation right now, goaltending
Do we really have to? Talking about when you bring up Toronto, I think about your smoking jacket and a pipe. That's what I think about.
Well, unfortunately, it's a kind of the theme of the show, so we're going to stick with it as best we can. But the goaltending here is kind of making people mental. Kipper's talking about, if you're a GM right now receiving a call from the Maple Leafs and they say, who wants Peter Mrazek? What kind of response are you given? What are you looking for the Leafs to tack on to take on a contract like Mrazek, 2 more years at 3.9 per?
Well, you're probably getting similar conversations that Carolina would have got last year, and that would be few and far between. I've never been a Mrazek fan. I know he's had a couple of playoff runs, and look, the deal right now would it be impossible to move? Nothing's impossible to move, but he's certainly not on anybody's radar to pick up as a goaltender. But the Leafs, I mean, their goaltending, it's frightening to watch it the last month. And you guys know it better than I do because you've seen all the games, but it is frightening. But I'll tell you what about their second line? Where's that gone? And I looked this morning, and Tavares played 16 minutes last night. He and Nylander a little over 16 minutes each, or 16 and a half minutes to 17 minutes. 7 minutes less than Matthews and Marner and Bunting are playing. I mean, what has happened to the second line, and how critical is it to fix that second line and the third line before the playoffs? To me, the goaltending is critical, but I don't know if they can do anything about it, because I don't think Fleury's going to go there. I don't think he wants to go to Toronto, and I don't think that I don't imagine, that's going to happen, but it might. I mean, they might be able to work magic and get a guy like Fleury, but I just don't see that happening. And Dubas says he's going to stick with the goaltending, and that is frightening with the way they're playing. Like last night, that performance was sad to watch, to be quite honest.
Can you put yourself in Kyle Dubas's position with a little over a week, and you were facing this dilemma? Would you bail on the 1-2 punch of Mrazek and Campbell, or would you? Kyle's a loyal guy, so this is playing really against him making any major decisions. But would you bail on it?
It's fine to be loyal, and I get that, and I know that Dubas is that type of person and has been that person since I met him when he was a GM in Sault Ste. Marie. I don't know how he has any choice but to search long and hard and do his due diligence on who might be available. But who is available? Like Korpisalo, for instance, in Columbus, looked like a goaltender when he knocked Tampa Bay out of the playoffs a couple of years ago. It looked like he was ready to become a great young goaltender. Today, you really would question that, whether he can be the guy. So who's available? Who is out there that they can bring in? Because they don't need a backup. They need a number one guy to go into the playoffs. And Dubas can be as loyal as he wants. But if they happen to lose in the first round, and we know how tough a first round it's going to be for everybody, every GM in the conference they're in is scared to death about what they're going to face in the first round. I mean, I talked to, Pittsburgh yesterday, and they're going to play the Rangers in the first round in all likelihood. I mean, so every first-round matchup is frightening. And if you don't have a bona fide number one goaltender, especially with the way the second line and third line right now is sort of hit and miss, I would be really nervous. And you'd be as loyal as you want, but your job's on the line if you happen to lose in the first round.
What did you make of the non-call on Austin Matthews last night in overtime?
You know what? If I would have been the coach, I probably would have got a $25,000 fine. But, that happens. I mean, we saw it happen with Hyman in Edmonton the other night. We saw it happen here last night. That's playoff-type refereeing. We know it changes, and you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to be faced with it. And to me, you would leave the game saying, yeah, that cost us the game. But you know what? That didn't cost them the game. The game was lost long before that, as far as I'm concerned, from the way that team played. Whether you want to talk defense, whether you want to talk lack of production, other than Matthews' line, that didn't cost them the game, but it sort of did. I'd be ticked off big time, but that's just, you got to live with that. That happens. There's missed calls, and there's going to be a lot of them in the playoffs. You guys know that.
As far as the second line with Tavares and Nylander, is the biggest option out there is to trade for something in that can help them? Robertson's in. I don't expect to see him there in the outdoor game. But how many different ways can you light a fire under these guys?
Well, the question is, does Matthews and Marner need their left winger? Can they move some people around there? Can they take from Matthews to help Nylander and Tavares? I would be looking at that, is what I'd be looking at before. Juggling your top six. Kerfoot has had a good year. I'm not a huge fan, but the kid has had a good year. He's played well for them and full marks. So can you juggle around enough to maybe insert somebody different with Matthews and Marner and is Bunting a guy that could help Tavares right now with the way this guy plays? He's a bit of a Hyman type of guy. The kid's played awfully well. Is that an option that you can try? I don't know what other option they have. I mean, you go into the trade deadline, and in all likelihood, you're looking at depth guys. That's what you're looking at.
The option is what we've seen for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's flip-flopping Marner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there some way Matthews is that good right now that he can carry? He's dragging people into the fight. Marner and Tavares need a winger who's going to drag them into the fight.
Oh, Marner drags people in fights.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You need a guy that's going to drag Tavares and Nylander into the fight, because you know what it's going to be at playoff time. It's going to be, you need people who are going to jump into this fight. I don't mean fight. I mean fight at playoff time. Fight for your lives.
I do think that this.
I think.
Sorry, Doug. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I do think that this will end up being a criticism of the team this year, is that they're keeping Marner, Matthews, and Bunting together now, when maybe we should be finding, we know that works. Like, now might be the time to see what else can work for other options, because
the problem is they're carrying the team single-handedly. They've got a Draisaitl, McDavid thing going where they've turned the Leafs into a one-line team.
But the problem is, when you get into the playoffs, you dream of coaching against a one-line team.
Yes.
Because when you go into the playoffs, you focus on shutting down that big line. It is going to be tougher for Matthews and Marner at playoff time. If you don't have the secondary people coming on that second and third line, I mean, the fourth line's fine. They're going to do their job. There's good character there. You know, there's quality people there. But they've got to fix this top six. And I don't know if there's an option outside of internal options. And I would be looking at mixing those top six up. I know they tried, but you don't put Tavares on the third line. You don't put Nylander on the third line. You've got to fix your top six. That's your critical part, and then plug in after that.
So tough.
So I would try it.
Because like Matthews, Marner, and Bunting seem to be having so much fun, and you want to keep Matthews happy. They just seem to, it's one of those things where it doesn't matter. I know in the end, the guys make a lot of money. They play where you tell them to. It just seems hard right now to tell those guys, hey, you don't get to be besties on the bench anymore.
No, I know. But you go into the playoffs and you got your big line playing 23 minutes a night, and you've got your $11 million captain playing 16 minutes.
Right.
I don't know that that's going to fly it, because it's going to hurt Matthews. It's going to hurt Matthews because playoff time, he is going to have so much focus on him. So Tavares has got to figure this out and get it going. So I would be looking at mixing it up, the top six, somehow, some way.
Doug, how much do you feel like a coach should or shouldn't say about his players in the media? We play a lot of Sheldon Keefe's clippings, and he was asked about Peter Mrazek's last game, and he basically he didn't even want to say anything. He said, it's tough. And then he just like, I'll leave it there. It's tough. He clearly has a lot more to say. Is he in a position where he should be publicly going at this guy a little bit, put some pressure on him, or is it better just to bite his tongue?
I don't think there's any value. I mean, I don't think there's any value in coming out and ripping your top guys. I think it's better behind closed doors and a one-on-one sessions and try to help them. But you know how you help John Tavares? You give him better players, because he's at that stage in his career. He's not a great skater to begin with. He's at the stage in his career. He needs support. I don't care what he's making. I'm just telling you, by watching him, he needs support. Matthews is a driver. Tavares right now is not a driver.
That's where, unfortunately, Nick Ritchie should have been. And if it it's not, but they don't have a plan B when it comes to big and heavy. I mentioned Robertson, and Robertson can skate and he can shoot the puck. And on occasion, he can find that area and maybe even score a goal or two. But when you get into a playoff situation where you got to win 50-50 pucks and come out of a corner to make a play, that's not Nick Robertson, but that's not Nick Robertson for Tavares either.
No, and that's why I would really consider trying Bunting with them. I really would. And you you like Marner with them. I would try Bunting first to see if that.
I would go with that.
That can work.
Bunting will be pissed off,
works.
but
Tavares scored 47 with Marner one year. It'd be all right.
None of them, yeah, big time. None of them will be upset if they win.
Right.
But if there'll be a lot of people upset if they happen to lose in the first round. And the way they're trending right now with their goaltending and a thin blue line, let's not forget, we talked on this show, the first show I did with you guys, we talked about a thin blue line at that time. Mm-hmm. And it's still a thin blue line. And their second line, which we were all counting on being a great second line, has not been a great second line for, 2 months now? And so there's a lot of things that have got to be figured out real soon here. And can you bring in quality people? I don't see a lot of guys out there that are available. I mean, JT Miller, great fit. The Rangers, JT Miller. Vancouver don't want to move JT Miller, I don't imagine. So I mean, what is going to be available that they can afford? That's the other question. So you got to look internally right now, because maybe you're not going to get the fix outside.
What do you do with guys who get a little older, like Wayne Simmons and Jason Spezza, and don't give you what they once gave you, but like the Leafs have committed to them? The whole Toronto ties, it's a little awkward right now, but I know he just hit 1,000 games. Like Simmons hasn't done much last little bit here. Spez is hitting a rough patch. What do they do with these guys? That's their whole fourth line.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to go into a playoff series and get 8 minutes out of that line. That's what you've got to get. When you start divvying up your ice time, you've got the big line. You got Matthews, who's going to get his 23 plus. You've got Tavares that somehow, some way, you've got to get him over. You've got to get him to the 18-minute mark somehow, some way, and you can divvy your lineup. But you don't, and you've got to have a quality third line that you can get, 10, 12, 13 minutes out of. So, when you divvy it up, the fourth line, look, it's still important, and they're character enough that they're not going to hurt you.
No, but they're
not going to hurt you.
Okay, they may not hurt you, but Mac, it's a specialty role. It's just not about 8 minutes filling time. It's about creating energy, or even, drawing a penalty or drawing emotion out of them so they take a penalty later on chasing you. And that is not a fourth line per se that we've seen in the past.
No, it's not. It's not. And I mean, ever since I watched Jason Spezza go to the fourth line, he's not your fourth line typical type of player, but he's still a leader on the team, and you know what he's going to give you because of the class and the character and the smarts.
Yeah.
You're going to get by with that line. That would be the least of my concerns right now, is that line going into the playoffs. I know they're not the prototypical fourth line. I get what you guys are saying, but I think that's the least of their concerns right now.
One last one for me here on the concernometer. What are the odds of getting Jake Muzzin back being Jake Muzzin? Because just watching this decor, you called him thin. A healthy Jake Muzzin goes a long way to making this team more competitive.
Yeah, I think, Jake coming back with the character he brings, I think he'll come back and probably be better. Mm-hmm. But he's slid this year too. He has not been the Jake Muzzin we've watched, but he's a character battler. But I'd be concerned about Jake Muzzin's health going into the playoffs too. That's why I think they're thin. And Hall's been up and down, Dermott up and down. The kids are the kids. I mean, there's some challenges there. But and every team's facing the same thing. Boston are desperate for a second line center. They've never replaced Krejci. There's lots of teams. New York feel they need a top six guy to finish their group. Panarin's not. Everybody's got their issues. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not just the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, even the best teams are worried about holes. I talked to Colorado today. I mean, don't think they're not in the market to take a step and do something that's going to help them at playoff time. Everybody's looking right now to bring in somebody that's going to give them a better chance in the first round.
One more.
It's funny. That's what it's all about now, is the first round, isn't it?
That's the Stanley Cup now.
All right. One more for me
unbelievable.
One more for me before I let you
get rid of me.
Before I let you get back to your black socks and sandals. 10 days, Mac, before the trade deadline, and we don't see anything going on right now. And if we use Kyle Dubas as an example, would there be a sense of urgency now from him or some other general managers with just 10 days to go? Or is that an eternity for you guys to get something made up out of nothing right now for a deal?
Yeah, you're doing you're thinking every possible way, and every team is doing it now to have another partner with you that you can make the money work to get the right guy and maybe overpay to get the right guy. We saw what they did with Foligno last year. I mean, I know it didn't work out and they paid a good price for him, but, that's what they're trying to do is how do we move, who do we bring in as a dance partner to make the money work here to be able to acquire a real player and also look to bring in some depth. They're tearing their hair out right now thinking about it.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
No question, and too many concerns right now. That's the only thing. If the focus was the blue line, that'd be one thing. But now you've got a struggling second line. You've got issues on the blue line, and you got issues in net.
Just all the positions.
I can only imagine what Kyle and his team are going through on a day-to-day basis.
Kyle knows what I felt like in Columbus when I had problems on the first line, second line, third line, fourth line, defense, and our goaltending was usually pretty good.
Can you help Ken Hitchcock find another job?
Oh, my God. Every time he opened his mouth, it was like a job interview. I said, Hitch, come on. Seriously.
Maybe a 1-2 package with you involved as well.
I know he doesn't have me down as a reference, so I don't have to worry about it.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
He told somebody who's really excited about seeing me and shooting the breeze with me. I didn't find out when I saw him that he was that excited.
We're excited every Friday. Thanks, Mac.
I like the name, Off the Rails. Take care.
Off the Rails with Doug McLean.
Thanks, Doug.
Did he make you less nervous this week?
Yeah. I did. And at no point did I feel like we were near something that was going to get us fired. That was good. Hey, while that was going on, I was thinking about names for the Leafs. And can I give you one that I want? Tyler Mott. I know he's available in Vancouver, and he is a bottom line guy.
Yeah.
He works his bag off, which I know I can say on radio because I said it on TV and didn't get fired.
That's right.
And he's just one of those guys, an energy guy. He scored 4 times in the Canucks playoff run a couple years ago. I like him.
Andrew Kopp?
Love Andrew Kopp. That would be better. I would take that over Tyler Mott. Nice upgrade.
Okay. We'll take a quick break here. Andrew Peters from The Instigator and co-host of After the Whistle. He's going to tell us all we need to know about what happened in Buffalo with Jack Eichel, the big win for the Sabres, and most importantly and interesting, Jack's post-game comments.
Love it.
And the shot that he may have given the Buffalo fans. Real Kyper and Bourne, plenty more to come after the break.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
It's Friday. Leafs are off Saturday night, their usual Hockey Night in Canada slot, which means outdoor game Sunday.
Yeah. Time's
Against
that at?
the up-and-coming Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
That's revenge time, isn't it, for the Leafs?
I think
In the outdoor game, or are they going to be too busy taking pictures with their families on the ice?
No, I think there will be some response to the last Buffalo-Toronto game.
Let's bring in Andrew Peters, co-host of After the Whistle, former NHLer. And I did mention the up-and-coming Buffalo Sabres. Is that the feel now that they stuck it to Jack Eichel last night?
Oh, and what a sticking it was.
How are you, Petey?
Yeah, they're good, man. Good to be on with you guys. How's everything going with you?
We're good. We're good. We just want to get a feel now of how it went down. And then, Jack could have easily kind of left things alone and
He did not.
give the happy to be here, taking one day at a time, all those cliches, and he chose to go a different path. But let's get your thoughts.
Well, I mean, about first and foremost, the game itself. I don't know if you guys saw much of it. I know the Leafs were playing as well, but he looked rattled the whole game. I mean, he looked rattled the entire game. And, rightfully so, right? I mean, that's a tough situation for a guy like that to be in. I'll even throw him a bone. But, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to play under those circumstances. I don't think he has ever even imagined playing in a circumstance where he would be booed like that. I mean, the Sabres were awesome in the first period, terrible in the second, and it just could have gone either way in the third. And the poetic bounce at the end of the game with Alex Tuck taking it from Eichel and then scoring the empty netter. Both guys involved in the trade scored. Jack didn't look, great, but I mean, he wears his emotions on his sleeves. And I just think last night after the game, just what an idiot. What an absolute idiot. I mean, I've worked in Buffalo covering the team now since I retired, back in 2011, 2012. And I mean, I was watching this game in the post-game interview with my brother, and we had to rewind it. I couldn't believe what he said. And I just think to myself, it's so easy.
Petey, what bothered you? What bothered you more? Was it that they must have been booing me because they wish I was still here, or was it that it took me 7 years, or it took them 7 years and me being traded to start cheering again?
It was the whole emotion of it. He didn't let me down because he's so immature, and he's always been this way. And he had the grand stage yesterday to show his maturity, show that he can take the bullets from the fans and the loss and show that he's a pro. And he's just not. I mean, he's just not. That is what Jack Eichel is. And I don't want to say this about him. When he went to his interview last night, when they cut to his interview, I'm like, okay, I want to see a more mature, a guy that's accepted what happened, the whole fiasco with the neck, the trade request for the year before. You can put your maturity on full display. And he didn't disappoint. I mean, he didn't disappoint the people. He didn't disappoint the haters. I mean, he fed right into them. And, and then he pisses on Buffalo on his way out. And I just think to myself, this is a city that literally worshipped the ground he walked on, even when he was burning bridges all over town. They literally worship this guy. the fans were so angry with the team with how they handled him. And he goes and does that, and he doesn't help himself. He proves everybody right that was against him. And it's a bad look. It's a bad look because in 7 years that he was here, 6 years that he was there, the crowd was electric at times. You know, like it wasn't his fault that they didn't make the playoffs and all that. I think he played his ass off when he was there. But just an entitled, spoiled kid who's never had to face adversity. And, I mean, so a shameless plug here for our podcast After the Whistle, but Craig Rivet just absolutely assassinated him today on our show, and rightfully so. I mean, I'm sure I'm not coming on here saying anything that you haven't already said, Kyper. I mean,
we haven't really gotten to that deep on the conversation, but I think you and Craig probably are portraying a good portion of Buffalo fans who had to endure this fiasco.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, like and you know Buffalo. Like, you know, Buffalo gets a bad rap. And if you've never played there, if you didn't have success there, then you have no idea what it's like to play in that market. But it is one of the, I put it up there against any market when it comes to fan intelligence and awareness. Okay? Their fans are aware, their fans are intelligent, and their fans are passionate. And they don't stand for stuff like this. Not Buffalo. Buffalo is a hardworking town who doesn't that they don't want to see an entitled baby playing for their team and especially come back and then take a huge dump on them, you know, because he didn't like the fact that he was booed. I mean, what did he expect was going to happen? What did he expect?
Well, hold on. That's exactly what I'm dying to ask you. So, you know, what did he expect is a fair question because, you know, I'm not in the Buffalo market, and I see in other sports, I see Ben Simmons in basketball bails on his team and they go back to Philly and he gets booed the whole way. And I'm like, yes. And I see it in a lot of different situations where guys ask out of town or, you know, whatever the situation is and fans are upset. Jack Eichel was a top pick there. He went there and performed well. He had an injury. He wanted a surgery. They wouldn't give it to him, so he had to go somewhere else. So when people were booing him last night, I'll be honest, Petey, I was like, I didn't entirely get it. So maybe you can give me some background on that. I get it now. Now I can see why fans could be pissed because the interview was a little, whatever you want to say about it. You've said it all. But give me the background on the booing and your thoughts about it last night.
I just think the way everything happened at the end of the year left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. You know, the fact that he did like fans don't want their star players to ask for a trade. Like they don't. And he admitted to Elliot Friedman, the day the trade happened or whatever, that the year prior, he did ask for a trade. And Elliot came on our podcast, you know, and we talked about, I forgot that had even happened, and he confirmed that last week. That alone, whether it's time or not or whatever, they don't ever want to hear that it comes from a player. I mean, I'm not familiar with other markets. I played for two teams. I played for Buffalo and New Jersey. And, you know, like New Jersey's had a ton of success. And, you know, like Buffalo's, you know, been struggling a little bit. They had success when I was there, only because I was there, right? But, you know, they don't want that. They don't want that. And that goes back to the part where I said they're passionate and they're intelligent and they're in the know. Like they follow the team. They're aware of what's going on. And you could sense for years that Jack wasn't happy in Buffalo. I mean, just look at his body language in his interviews. Look at his short fuse with media. You know, he never seemed happy. And I get it. Like they lost. But we're talking about a player that a friend, now, right or wrong, I was against the tank, okay? I was against the team tanking for the best odds at McDavid, knowing that if you finish last, your consolation prize is Jack Eichel. Pretty good consolation prize. Eliminate everything I just said about him earlier in his character. He's a hell of a hockey player. Okay? So when your fan base, suffers for a long time and this guy just wants out, that doesn't sit well. It doesn't, Thomas Vanek sent us a message last night, both Craig and I. It was a text message, and he talked about how, I don't want to say exactly what he said because it's not my place to speak on his behalf. But basically what he said was, I was booed. Sorry, I'm driving beside a truck here. I was booed when I came back to Buffalo. He said, I knew it was coming. He said, because fans are passionate. It's part of the game. Like, whether it's merited or not, like, that's what fans do. They boo. I mean, they boo when they can. They cheer when they can. Like it's to be expected. And I guess, like, Jack should have approached that completely differently and just accepted it. Embrace it. Like, embrace the boos is the fact that he was loved. I mean, man, he could have shrugged that one off. He could have acknowledged it in a very different way and walked away with a much different impression of him from the entire hockey world. And some people love it, and a vast majority of people hate it. And I don't know. I even dissected it to the point where I'm like, are we being too hard on him over this? I mean, are we overthinking what he said? Was it a shot at himself? And any which way you slice it, I mean, he completely threw the dagger.
Speaking of Andrew Peters from The Instigator and co-host After the Whistle, Peter, I just want to mention this. And, for some of us who follow this on a daily basis and get paid to do it, it's not something, the evolution of Jack Eichel in his career in Buffalo, a lot of people on the inside knew of a lot of things and that led us to saying, well, Jack just needs to grow up, or, there's some immaturity there. But is there some responsibility on the Buffalo Sabres or ultimately ownership with the Bagulas where they just gave a guy too much too soon, either the captaincy or the $10 million or the ability to walk into somebody's room and saying, I don't like the coach. I think we need this. I think we need that. I mean, it's not something that snuck
Unreal
up on
point.
everybody last night.
Unreal point. And yeah, there's some onus on management, ownership. Absolutely. Too much too soon.
Yes.
Too much too soon and undeservingly. Like Connor McDavid's contract, absolutely deserved. Absolutely deserved. Okay? Like, from the on ice to how he conducts himself off the ice. I know he had the one little, argument this year or whatever. Maybe that was Draisaitl or whatever. I can't remember. But either way, like, you never hear a peep about him. Like, he just goes out and plays. And, Jack wasn't ready to be a captain. I mean, he was not ready to be a captain. He was not ready or deserving, for that matter, of that $80 million contract at the time.
They envisioned something, Pete, that was just not realistic. Okay, that also kind of fed the beast. But we really appreciate your time and your your candidness. Hey, next time you come on the show, like, don't hold back, eh? I mean, don't
well,
sugarcoat it.
Listen. I could have felt this way and never even been given the opportunity to say it. But Jack awarded us the right to speak like this about him today.
Wow.
He did. It's like, if he walks away with class, I probably, if I come on today, I'm like, man, he's really grown up, and good for him. I wish him well. Well, guess what? I want Vegas to miss the playoffs, and I want it to be Jack's fault. And what he said last night is just, it will take a while for that stench to disappear from him.
Well, a few more wins and maybe another one during the outdoor game could speed up the process. Petey, thanks for doing this, man.
You guys want to throw a Harvey's wager on the outdoor game?
Yeah.
JB?
Our show, your show, a couple of sandwiches.
Yes.
Let's do it.
After the whistle versus you guys.
All right,
Couple of burgers.
We're in.
All right.
We just we got Sam McKee behind the glass. He says he wants in too, so we'll have to throw a third person on yours too.
We'll get some little Buddhas in there involved too.
There you go.
I want a goal and a half, though.
Now we got to negotiate.
Hang on.
I don't know, man. Your Sabres are hot.
Yeah, they're hot. But I do expect the Leafs to pay them back for the last beatdown they gave them. That's for sure.
We'll look forward to
maybe
that.
they don't win or whatever, but it'll be interesting. Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Andrew Peters, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Petey.
Oh my God! Did he unleash?
By the way, every time we have a guest on, we go to break and we're like, I just wanted them to say a little more. Give us a little more. I think that's not going to happen today.
Wow,
Buddy, I was laughing my ass off.
wherever Jack Eichel is, he just
It's just got to chill for some reason.
oh my God, just like a.
That is both barrels.
So should we play the clip and give our takes on it now?
Yeah.
All right, here's Jack Eichel talking about Buffalo.
That's about the loudest I've heard this place ever. Really, after it only took 7 years of me leaving for them to get into the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was mixed. It was a nice tribute, and there was plenty of people here that were supporting me, and there was plenty of people here that were booing me. So they must just be booing me because they wish I was still here. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not the first kid to deal with it, so just move on. And yeah, it was a tough game. Give them credit; they played hard.
Okay.
Give them credit; they played hard.
I didn't think it was that horrible.
Oh, it's petty.
No. For the exception of that, the when he tagged on, it took 7 years and me leaving to get into the game.
Yeah,
that's the one that bothered me the most. That's the shot at the fans for saying for 7 years you've never been in any games.
He really thought he had a home run there too.
If he could have left that out, then there's a little sarcasm or laughing at the situation or kind of moving. I would have been a little better without that last shot there.
Here's that internet.
Which one?
Yeah, that's.
Did you find the most horrible?
Yeah, that's it for me too. I mean, he's mad and he's hurting. You know what's funny is before having Peters on, I would have said that sounded like someone who's really hurting still. Like there's still a lot of pain there. He's upset with how it didn't go. It honestly reminds me of how people talk about exes, like relationships, not, the way the whole team thing. Like it was like an ex-girlfriend that he was like, I'm fine. Like she has a new boyfriend. I don't even care. What do I do? I don't care. What do I care? What, she's on Instagram? What's her profile? Like he's there's some lingering, but then to hear Peter say immaturity was interesting because it's pretty immature.
He just
embarrassing.
Needed to take the high road. He needed like a cliche book.
For the record, loved it.
Listen,
just one day at a time.
That we get to talk.
I'm
about
happy to be here in Vegas, and just throw out every cliche that you can and get the hell out of there.
I do feel a little hypocritical because we do want hockey players specifically, because I think in the NBA and NFL and other leagues, guys are a little bit more willing to say things, right? And I hate being like, I don't want him to say things.
No, because Sammy, he's not. I know what you're going to say. He's not being forthcoming though. Like I want him to say things in what he really thinks too, but he's not.
That's just, if I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, I feel me now, and I do feel the same way that Peters feels. Everything that Peter says, I've always very much disliked Jack Eichel.
Oh, I like Eichel.
I feel everything that Peter said was like, yeah, I kind of agree. I do kind of agree. And just like the audio doesn't even do it justice. Because if you watch the video of it, just the look on his face and his body language.
He's just so happy it's over with.
He's trying.
But he's going to have to go there once a year forever now.
Yeah.
He's still going to have this. It would have been so easy just to take the high road. Yeah. And we talked about Matthews and Keefe taking the high road. He took the low road.
The internet mad face with the happy mask over it? Like correct. his best attempt trying not to be mad.
And Peter's talked about Buffalo, and I played a year in Hartford, Connecticut. Okay, and
great city,
but small community where it's really personal. So in a bigger market like Toronto, you can still have that the masses, but like a city like Buffalo, where it's a smaller community and more people know each other.
The signs,
100%.
He's like, oh, that was Doug,
and you could just sense how personal it was. And you said it. We're away from that environment. We take it for face value.
I couldn't believe they were booing him, Kyper. But couldn't believe it.
Like how personal.
What?
How personal it was.
He couldn't get a neck surgery he wanted, so he had to leave.
You couldn't.
The team was garbage around him
Raptors
for
fans
years.
booed Goran Dragic. That just happened. People boo guys who used to play there. Guys get booed all the time. For him to go in there and expect to not get booed is so immature.
No, I expected sympathy.
It's he wanted to get traded.
Yeah,
that's the part.
That's better context. And that's why I'm glad Peters gave us that.
It's not about the surgery. You could have sat there and said, we don't agree on the surgery and we're going to have to arbitrate it. We're going to have to figure this out. I want to be here. I love it here. They're separate.
Yeah.
He wanted out. He wanted to bail on the Buffalo Sabres. That's why they booed him.
Yeah. But, I mean, by that logic, they could have booed him when he was still there. I mean, he wanted out at that point, too. I guess now it's a little bit more of a green light, but it was a tough night for Eichel, period. He did not handle it particularly well. You know what? And it started before the game. In the interview before the game, I think maybe I'm not sure who it was with. But anyway, they asked him about his emotions before the game, and he was like, just any other game, just big 2 points for us. I'm sure they're going to be desperate. Just any other game, and it was like, come on, phony.
And Andrew Peters touched on this, but you know what Buffalo's Stanley Cup is for them this year?
Krebs and Tuck scoring.
No, yeah. Besides that, he said it. Vegas missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
They want that so badly. And that was not a very good effort on their part last night. And
not that good. They're not that
good.
They're hanging on.
They're hanging on here.
They really are.
Like, this is not a lock that with Jack Eichel, they will make the playoffs.
Edmonton's right behind them, 2 points behind them with a game in hand.
Vancouver's right there. Stone right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember that?
Can they find a way to get him back in the lineup?
I don't know.
Think about George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon's next 10 days. Forget Kyle for a second.
Yeah.
How would you like to have made that massive trade and go back to your owner and say, we're fighting for a playoff spot in the next 10, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Those guys, they miss playoffs. They're moving your jobs territory, right? Like their jobs are in trouble, I would say, given the freedom to spend and creativity and what the goals have been. A missed playoffs would be huge. 576 winning percentage right now. Not very good.
What do you, I know we touched on the officiating, but it was more towards Austin Matthews, but Gabriel Landeskog, post-game comments, 2-0 loss, was it to Carolina?
Yeah, it was
thought they missed a call on Nazem Kadri.
Well, so Kadri got a penalty before this, which was borderline. It was high-sticking-ish, but they didn't like that. And then Kadri goes down on one where he gets hooked. We actually have the audio, don't we? From
Landeskog. It's a little longer. It's just under 2 minutes, but it's pretty good.
Okay, let's hear it.
In 11 years, I've never sat and talked about referees in a press conference ever. I think Wes and TJ Luxmore do a great job tonight, actually, for 50-something minutes of the game. They called a high stick on Nas on Niederreiter, which might have been a high stick, but Niederreiter falls easy. We're arguing that it's a flop. They say it's still a high stick. Fair enough. Nas gets at 5:50 something on the clock. Niederreiter is hooking Nas up the boards. The puck turns over. We go the other way. They score. We're arguing that it's a hook. They're saying that Nas is flopping. We're arguing it's still a hook, just like they're arguing before. And it's unfortunate because that's a playoff game tonight. And, it's very unfortunate it comes down to that. Like I said, I thought Wes and TJ did a great job up to that point. And, it's one of those things where, it's a very competitive game. Power plays don't come around very often, especially in games like this. And that's why I was happy Wes and TJ did a good job of letting us play all game tonight. It's unfortunate it comes down to a bounce like that. And, unfortunately, whether a guy's been suspended numerous times or not, what's he going to carry around that heavy baggage forever? I'm not saying that TJ and Wes were, didn't call it for that reason, but, Nas is a guy that's competitive and whether he sold that call or not, you can look at the video and the stick is in his waist, and that's why he loses the puck. I think it's unfortunate, and I think it's time for, sometimes it's time for players to step up and speak our truth, because, I'm the one that looking like an idiot for getting thrown out of the game, even though I'm just being honest. And I guess TJ didn't like that I said he had a tough night, but that's the way it is.
So a different approach, but at the end of the day, he's ripping on the officials.
Go ahead, Sammy.
No,
I thought, that's how if you're going to speak out against the officials, call it ripping officials or whatever, he at least made a clear case, right? Like, it's not just saying these guys are a bunch of dummies. He's saying, here's what I saw. Here's what I thought. I thought talking about them by their first names is very respectful, right? Like, acknowledging that they're humans and not just these zebras tactful. Don't see anything. TJ and Wes, here's the thing. We've had conversations.
Which he said, by the way, they're fair. It was right. It was a well-called game.
That's a classic sales tactic, though.
It is.
Butter them up before
listen,
I bury
Justin,
them.
we appreciate your time here.
So if it's fair, if you thought it was a fair contest, can we get over the fact that these guys will miss a call or two?
I think he's trying to validate getting kicked out. Do you know how long Gabe Landeskog's been in the league? 11 years. Do you know that? Gabe Landeskog, 11 years? I mean, this guy, to me, he's still like a 24-year-old. Anyway, but you don't hear this from him much, and I think it speaks to these huge games against the top teams, because we always say there's no measuring sticks around the league, right? It's so rare. For the Leafs, you text our group chat, 20 out of 30 games, you'd be like, this team stinks. But when it's the good games, you want it called right because you want a fair shot. For Colorado to beat Carolina, for Tampa to beat Calgary, those games matter so much more because you don't feel like you're getting that very often. So I just feel like the stakes were a little higher for him.
I saw it. No benefit there. And we spoke earlier in the show about taking the high road. That goes further than what Landeskog did. No, not jumping into that by Matthews and Sheldon Keefe will go further for the Leafs than Landeskog just did for Colorado. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. It's still,
I think he's a respectful guy. The way he said that was pretty respectful. But why couldn't he just go to the next game, in the pregame or a second in an intermission, or not an intermission break, but like a whistle, and just kind of have that conversation with them the next time he sees them or whatever? I guess could be the other argument. But if you're gonna bury the refs, he did it in the classiest way possible. Basically,
what did we think of his comment about Kadri carrying baggage forever for being known as a guy that either draws penalties or dives?
It's hard to your reputation precedes you.
Yeah,
it's with Bunting too. There was a couple times in that game last night where Bunting went down that were on borderline.
Two games ago, Bunting went down along the wall. Do you remember that one? It was a 4-on-4. Did he created a 4-on-4?
Yeah,
but Bunting was like.
He got punched in the face and went down like a.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Well, I only saw him laying on the ice. I was like, he must have got crushed. They show the replay and he takes a glove to the face. I was like,
your standard jab.
Relax.
Do you understand? I don't know if Bunting is too young or still too early in the league to realize everybody sees that.
Yeah, we got lots
every
of camera
official,
angles now.
Every player that plays against him, everybody brings up. And he will not get calls.
It's not worth the short-term gain of getting that 2-minute minor there.
So then I think that is what he's talking about with Kadri and Landeskog saying it's them's the breaks, kind of. Like what he's saying is probably true. And that's kind of
like,
the way
is
it
he supposed
is.
to carry that baggage around forever? And it's like, yes.
Well, I mean, he's earned that.
Yes.
That's kind of how it works.
Right.
That's the refs have been. I mean, Wes McCauley and the other. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about when he says Wes. They've been reffing games for a really long time, and they've reffed a ton of games that Nazem Kadri's played in. It's human nature. It's impossible to get over that.
Context when you see 43 on the ice versus another number, for sure.
It's truly impossible. Oh, 91 now.
91,
Yeah,
my
Colin.
bad. I forgot. Yeah.
So it's true that what he said is right, but I don't blame the refs for being a little bit harder on Nas when it comes to calling penalties. And to be honest, me and Kyper sit there and watch that play about 15 times. Kind of a dive. It was a borderline dive.
Yeah,
listen.
But we talked about Matthews early. At least Kadri
Try
knows
to
he's
get
got
the
to go
call.
down.
You get it. You get it. You don't. You move on.
Yeah.
You don't cry and harp over it because these guys have long memories and they can hold a grudge. I don't care. I know we had Tim Peel on and he's like, no, but yes.
There's no way you can't hold a grudge.
No, of course.
Yes.
He's human. Do we have any questions from our YouTube chat or
We got a couple.
otherwise? All right.
The Invisible Man. So I don't even know how I got to read this, but the Invisible Man, this is from a while ago. He said, of the other 7 teams in the East, who theoretically could the Leafs beat in the first round? Washington is the only one, in my opinion.
Oh, my good gravy.
See, I don't trust Florida. I know they're big. I know they're strong. I know there wouldn't be much left of the Leafs by game 6 or game 7. But I think...
Couldn't you see Bob putting up an 880 or something?
So we see 10-7 scores.
Yeah.
And I think the Leafs would give the Florida Panthers a run for their money.
I was
still
actually
believe
looking,
this.
like, Florida is a contender to win the President's Trophy. Boston's on Toronto's heels. I was like, God, if Toronto finishes in the second wild card and gets Florida, isn't that better than getting Tampa in the 2-3 game?
Like, people don't trust Mrazek or Campbell. Goalie Bob.
He's historically bad in the playoffs. And it's something that I've brought up on the show.
42 games.
Something I've brought up on the show before, and I'll bring up again. How many Leaf fans in that building game 1 in Florida?
Yeah, 10,000. So
is it over 50%?
I like Toronto. Yeah, close. I like Toronto against the Rangers. The Rangers
I don't
stink, by the
know.
way.
I mean, we're talking April.
You don't
or
think
May?
I think it would be a pretty good trip.
It's not Christmas.
Nah, I think there would be a lot of Leaf fans
making a trip down to Florida for the first 2 games.
Yep.
I don't know.
I'm actually going to be
might
live on
right.
location. So
you would
I'll
be
see you
one.
So I think the Rangers stink. Love to get the Rangers, wouldn't you?
Rangers,
Pittsburgh's
Pitt,
beatable.
Jari.
Yeah. Caps, mow the Caps, I think.
Boston.
I think they beat Boston too. Boston's got 26 games in the final 50 days of the season. They're going to be limping into the
The only thing,
playoffs.
again, for me is also style of play. I don't like the way the Leafs open it up. I don't like how active their D. I don't think their D is good enough to play the style that they're playing.
So I think you're onto a killer point there. I really like that point. They are very active. Is TJ Brody that good offensively? Tape him to the blue line. Do you want Justin Hall going in? Tape him to the blue line. A lot of these guys who are active as they are.
Liljegren's got like 6 assists in the last 8 or 9 games.
And 4 straight games.
Let's try learning how to play defense first and covering guys in front of the net before I want you jumping up on plays.
I would say that is the one thing with the D-core that you could coach up is be like,
that's what makes you nervous
we
about
got
the
enough
Leafs.
scorers. Why don't the D-men do the D-ing?
I think the only team they can't beat is probably the team they're going to play in the first round.
Tampa.
Right? I don't. Who's going to be Tampa's scuffling a little bit right now. Vasilevsky's let in I think 4 goals a couple times here, but like when it comes to cutting time, playoff series against the best.
I don't even know what that expression would be.
Are you being serious?
I don't think that they can beat Carolina.
Ass cutting?
Not cutting.
You think you think they can get to Freddie against Carolina?
Oh my God, yes. Because I've watched playoff series in the last 5 years. So yes,
I do like that question.
Not the president of Freddie Anderson's fan club.
It's really surprising.
Listen, everybody's like, oh, we've seen him be really good in the regular season before. We've seen that story in Toronto.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens in the playoffs.
All I know is there's no team that we've mentioned where I'm like, that's 4 games either way. Like, these are close games against good teams.
It's going to be a battle in every single one of these series.
Yeah.
You got any bets for us this weekend or what?
Not really. The Islanders got the Jets tonight. The Jets played last night, I believe, and get them around even money. It's the one I'm kind of looking at. I don't know.
I mentioned Tyler Myers. I tweeted earlier that Vancouver wants to unload a contract with term on it.
Yeah.
Now it's a little less.
Keep it.
JT
Keep
or
it.
JT Miller.
Yeah.
You don't like him at all, Myers?
No. I mean, I don't think he's like a terrible player, but his contract is
$6
comes with
million
him.
AAV.
If he's
11
making
cash.
Dermot money or something, love him.
Hey, watch for me on the glass at the Centennial Classic on Sunday. I'm going to be right beside the rink as the as a correspondent.
What's the
skinny
weather
guy.
like?
Beard.
0 degrees, overcast, little snow. Perfect.
Hey, great week. We did not get bumped for baseball today.
Woo.
Thanks for watching and listening on our YouTube channel, Sportsnet. Hit the like button one more time for us. We love that when that happens. Have a safe weekend.